Well, this summer, as your kids spend more and more time online while away from school, make sure that you are aware of the biggest risks. Consumer investigator Rachel DePompa spoke to cybersecurity researchers about the top 5 online threats to kids.
Let's start with the latest craze of bank cards that are designed for kids as young as 12. That makes them easily susceptible to financially motivated scammers. David M., a principal security researcher at cybersecurity company Kaspersky, says also make sure you are changing your passwords on your smart home devices, Ring cameras, security cameras, and baby monitors, so they are not hacked or used to spy on your kids. He says one of the top 5 biggest security threats facing kids this year is artificial intelligence, or AI. M says AI has very suddenly captured the public imagination, and ordinary people are using it, including our children.
What we need to understand, I suppose, with these large language models is that we are feeding them with information, and that information can be brought out of those systems as well. So we need to be really careful, I think, about the sharing implications, something which children are not really going to think about.
These AI apps can also provide your kids with inappropriate content, so monitor what they are using. You also need to talk to your kids about not sharing information about themselves in the chats for online games. M says kids can end up sharing too much information or clicking on malicious links.
It's really the fact that there may be people that they're interacting with who are not who they say they are, or they are who they say they are, but they're potentially a threat.
And watch out for the new popular apps for teens. They go to the App Store looking for it, they can't find it, and then sometimes the teen will look for alternatives, which are often malicious copies. The best thing you can do as a parent is to stay informed about the latest cybersecurity threats, and then talk to your kids weekly about not sharing too much information, not talking to strangers online, and not clicking on random links. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.